Unit 1. Exercise 5.
So, any ideas about where to go on holiday this year? I know Grandma really wants to go on a pilgrimage to Lourdes in the south of France.
Really?
Yes, you know she's a really strong Catholic, and she believes in miracles.
Well, I quite fancy a nice city break to London or Edinburgh. I know there's a really good Roman art exhibition in the National Gallery this summer.
Oh no, Dad. You can't be serious. That's just like going on a school trip. How about a nice rest in a spa where there are thermal baths and jacuzzis, and you can have massages and relax?
Boring! Hannah! Why don't we try something new and exciting this year? Maybe a polar exhibition or a trek across the desert on camelback.
Yeah, right, Josh. That's just typical of you. If we want to do something new and exciting, there are plenty of places in this country. We don't need to fly halfway across the world and damage the environment. What do you think, Mum?
Well, I agree that we don't want to do anything that is bad for the environment, and holidays abroad are very expensive. Personally, I'd like a nice relaxing holiday by the seaside. Maybe in Cornwall, or on one of the Channel Islands. Let's see if there are any special offers.
Unit 1. Exercise 6.
Any ideas about where you want to go on holiday this summer, Mrs. Brown?
Well, I really want to have a proper family holiday this year.
OK. There are some good all-inclusive package holidays by the sea.
I quite fancy going somewhere different this year.
How about taking a city break?
Personally, I'd like it, but I think the kids might be bored.
Why don't you combine a city break with something for the kids, like Euro Disney?
That's a good idea, I agree. But isn't Euro Disney really expensive?
Well, let's see if there are any special offers on at the moment.
Unit 2. Exercise 5.
The National Trust is a charity and a non-profit organisation which promotes British tourism to artistic, historical and natural sites in a sustainable way. It has 2 head offices, one in London and another in Swindon, as well as hundreds of branches all over the UK. Places with the trade name National Trust market themselves through the image of conservation and heritage. However, many of the thousands of visitors to National Trust sites hear about them by word of mouth from friends, colleagues or relatives. They provide great days out for the whole family, as you can enter many sites for free, and you can also hire venues for special events at extremely competitive prices.
Unit 2. Exercise 11.
Welcome to the programme, John.
It's a pleasure to be here, Sue.
Can you tell us something about the marketing strategies your company uses?
Yes, of course. We don't really use TV or radio adverts because they're just too expensive. We sometimes place ads in newspapers or magazines we think our target customers buy.
What about specialist travel brochures, leaflets or tourism guides? Do you advertise in those?
Not really. You see, many of our target customers are DIY travellers, not package holiday tourists that book holidays through brochures or leaflets.
So does that mean you do a lot of online marketing?
Yes, we do. Probably our main marketing area is online.
Could you explain a little bit more about online marketing for our listeners, John?
Sure. We use a combination of low-cost e-marketing strategies. Social networking sites are great, especially if your target customers are young people like ours are.
And do you promote your holidays through search engines too?
Yes, we sometimes use banners to advertise on search engines, but not as often as we use social networking sites because they are just not competitive and they don't always reach the target customers.
I see. Do you have your own website too?
Yes, that's our best marketing tool because you can attract the kind of customer you want by the way you set up your website. Moreover, it's only possible to book online, and you can't book a package holiday unless you create it yourself.
This means you can book single products and services and then combine them any way you want.
Yes, that's right. Oh, and we have an online forum where our customers leave feedback about where they stay and things they do. That's fantastic word-of-mouth marketing.
I bet. So, John, if you could just tell our listeners where to find you online.
Sure. It's www.travelyoulike.com.
Unit 3. Exercise 4.
Hello, I'd like to buy a ticket to London, please.
Is that a single or a return ticket?
A return, please.
When do you want to leave?
Now.
And when do you want to come back?
Today, please. How much is that?
A cheap day return ticket is £32.
What time is the next train?
It's at 12:50 from platform 16.
Thank you.
Unit 3. Exercise 8.
1A. Arrive at the airport and go to the correct check-in. 2C. Give the airline staff your passport and booking information. 3B. Check in your luggage and take your boarding pass. 4F. Put your hand luggage and coat through the security check. 5H. Walk through the metal detector. 6D. Present your boarding card and identification for inspection at passport control. 7E. Proceed to the departure gate when it opens. 8G. Show your passport and boarding card to staff before boarding.
Unit 4. Exercise 4.
Good afternoon, sir. Can I help you?
Yes, I'd like to check in, please.
What's your name, sir?
It's Mr. Norris.
Could you spell your surname for me, please?
Yes, Norris.
Oh, yes, Lee Norris. Could you just confirm your address, please, sir?
It's 16 Orchard Road. That's ORCHARD Road, Oxford, UK.
Do you know the postcode?
Yes, I do. It's OX3 2JF.
And your contact numbers, please, sir?
My mobile number is 07983 560 891. And my home number is 01865 362 497.
Do you have an email address, Mr. Norris?
Yes, it's leenorris@yahoo.co.uk.
Thank you. And you've booked a double room, single occupancy with a bath.
That's correct.
And you booked full board.
No, just half board.
Half board. Okay, so you are staying with us for a total of 3 nights from the 20th of September until the 23rd of September.
Yes, that's right.
How would you like to pay, Mr. Norris?
By Visa card.
Okay, just sign the bottom here for me, sir. You're in room 214 on the 2nd floor.
Thank you.
Enjoy your stay with us.
Unit 4. Exercise 9.
Hotel reception, how can I help you?
Oh, hello. I'm calling from room 101. I think there are a few things missing from my room. Is it possible for me to have a hairdryer and some toiletries, please?
Of course, madam. I'm terribly sorry. There are usually toiletries in the room on arrival. I'll send them up to your room straight away. The hairdryer should be in the desk drawer.
Oh, yes, I see it. Another thing, I need some laundry and ironing done. Do you have those services in the hotel?
Yes, madam. For laundry and ironing, just fill in the form on the desk and give it to the chambermaid before 9 in the morning.
That's great. Thanks. I also have some important documents with me, and I can't find the safe in this room.
I'm afraid we don't have safes in the rooms, but there are safes available in the reception area if you could bring your documents down to me.
Okay. Are there any other services I should know about?
Well, we have an internet point which is open till midnight. There's 24-hour room service for bar food, and our a la carte restaurant is open 12 to 2 lunchtime and 7 to 10 dinner time. You need to book a table for dinner.
Okay, I'd like to book a table for this evening at 8 p.m., please.
Certainly, madam. Can I help you with anything else, madam?
Not for the moment, thank you.
Unit 5. Exercise 5.
Hello, I'd like to go to Rome tomorrow.
What time do you need to arrive?
I need to be there for a meeting at 2 o'clock.
The fastest way to travel is by plane.
What time are the flights to Rome scheduled tomorrow?
You could take the 8 a.m. flight and be in Rome by 9 a.m.
That's a bit too early. How about trains?
You could take the high-speed train. It is slower, but it still only takes 3 hours.
Is it a regular service?
Oh yes, there's a service every hour.
Is it more expensive than flying?
No, actually the train is a little cheaper than the flight.
How do I get around the city?
There are several options. If you fly, you can take the non-stop shuttle from the airport to the central train station, or take the FR1 line of the Underground.
What are the other options?
Well, you can take a taxi, but it's quite expensive and can be slow because of the traffic.
How about public transport?
The Underground is probably best for the centre. It has very regular daytime service.
What if I want to travel at night or outside the centre of Rome?
Then buses are better. The service goes further and runs later than the Underground.
Unit 6. Exercise 5.
OK, everybody, we're now leaving Lazio and entering the region of Campania, which is of great geographical, historical and cultural interest. Campania lies on the Tyrrhenian Sea, and we have the two gulfs of Naples and Salerno. It also has 3 important islands, Capri, Ischia and Procida, all of which have incredible wildlife on them all year round because of the particularly mild climate, especially near the coast. It is a volcanic region, and the landscape of the Gulf of Naples is dominated by Vesuvius, which erupted in the past, destroying the cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum. Today, these are open-air museums of Roman settlements. Both sites continue to be excavated, and most of the archaeological remains are now in the National Archaeological Museum in Naples. Because of the volcanic activity, Campania is very fertile, so it is an agricultural zone as well as a popular tourist destination. Historically, the Aragonese and the Bourbons, among others, ruled Campania at times, and this can be seen clearly in the architectural styles of the buildings, particularly in the city of Naples.
Unit 6. Exercise 10.
So, where exactly is Palermo?
It's on the northwest coast of the island of Sicily.
What are the origins of the city?
It was founded by Phoenician traders in the 8th century BC. Then it was conquered and dominated by the Romans, the Arabs, the Normans, the Germans, the French and the Spanish.
So, what legacy did this leave the city?
You can see the influence on the architecture, particularly Arabic and Norman, but also Byzantine.
Do they speak a separate dialect?
Many people consider Sicilian more of a language than a dialect because it is so characteristic.
What's the food like?
Palermo has a real tradition of street food, like pane panelle, made of chickpea flour, potato croquettes, and scaccio, dried seeds and nuts and chickpeas.
What is the economy based on?
Well, Palermo exports fruit, cereals, fish and chemicals, and ship repair is also important.
So, what should I visit in Palermo?
The Archaeological Museum has one of Italy's best collections of ancient Etruscan and Greek artistic remains. Moreover, there are beautiful botanical gardens which are really worth a visit.
That sounds like a good idea.
Unit 7. Exercise 5. I'm hiring a car in Scotland this summer. What do you suggest I visit?
That depends on what you're interested in.
I'm interested in art, history and nature, especially coastlines.
Then you should spend a few days in Edinburgh at the Arts Festival.
When is that?
It's on for 3 weeks in August every year.
Is Edinburgh near the coast?
Yes, it overlooks the sea. It's a really interesting city.
What else can I do in Edinburgh?
You can visit the castle, which sits on a volcanic rock dominating the city.
I hear Scotland has amazing wildlife too.
Oh yes, especially on the remote islands like the Orkneys.
I want to visit the famous Loch Ness and see the monster.
It's the deepest lake in Scotland and very beautiful. But I can't guarantee you'll see the monster.
Unit 7. Exercise 7.
Humans first lived in the British Isles about 750,000 years ago, but Britain's most famous prehistoric monument and UNESCO World Heritage Site, Stonehenge, was probably built in Wiltshire at different times between 3000 and 1500 BC. The mysterious giant stones, set in a unique concentric architectural design, are a mixture of nearby sandstone and smaller blue stones from the Preseli Mountains in South Wales, about 200 miles away. We don't know exactly how or why Stonehenge was built, but experts agree it was a ceremonial site for worship and burial, and people continue to visit it every year to celebrate the summer solstice. The Welsh, Irish and Scots originate from the Celts, Indo-European tribes who settled in Britain in about 500 BC, and the word probably comes from the Greek keltoi, meaning barbarian. The Romans successfully invaded and conquered Britain in 43 BC, establishing the city of Londinium, now London, and in the southwest of England, Aquae Sulis, Bath Spa, one of the world's finest remaining examples of Roman thermal spas, with natural hot springs of 49 degrees Celsius. To keep out the Scots, still regarded as barbarians, the Emperor Hadrian gave order to build Hadrian's Wall from stone and earth, which stretches 118 kilometres from coast to coast across northern Britain. The Roman rule in Britain ended when the Anglo-Saxons from northern Europe began to invade the island in the 5th century AD. The Vikings from Norway, Sweden and Denmark also invaded Britain in about the 9th century AD, settling in central, northern and eastern England. The modern city of York in the north of England is site of the Jorvik Viking Centre, a settlement where Viking-age houses, workshops and artefacts were excavated. The Normans conquered Britain with their victory at the Battle of Hastings in 1066, bringing linguistic, architectural and political changes to Britain. They built medieval motte and bailey castles, which had raised earth, the motte, under the castle, which you could only access across a wooden drawbridge. Around it was a ditch, separating the castle from the bailey, that is to say, a courtyard surrounded by a wooden fence, where servants, tradesmen and craftsmen lived. Windsor Castle, just outside London, the official royal residence for over 900 years, is an excellent example of this kind of castle.
Unit 7. Exercise 10.
1A. The London Eye. Fly above London's skyline for 30 minutes, taking in the city landscape for 25 miles in each direction. It's a truly unique experience. 2F. Richmond Park. Walk around the largest urban parkland in Europe, where you can see over 600 deer, many wild birds, flowers, woods, gardens and ponds. 3B. The Tower of London. Explore 900 years of history. See some of the world's largest and most beautiful diamonds in the crown jewels, and see the Beefeater Guards protecting the tower. 4E. Madame Tussauds. Hang out with the rich and famous at the famous Waxworks Museum. Visit the Chamber of Horrors to find out the worst of British crime. 5C. The British Museum. Visit one of the world's oldest and finest museums, with one of the biggest World Heritage collections from ancient Egypt, Western Asia, Greece, the Orient, Africa and Italy. 6H. The Tate Modern. Visit the world's most popular contemporary art gallery. The building and its location on the Thames are as interesting as the art inside it. 7D. The Globe Theatre. Experience Shakespeare's theatre as it was meant to be, in an open-air amphitheatre rebuilt on the Thames riverbank. 8G. St Paul's Cathedral, possibly London's most famous and iconic church, with its impressive architecture, and don't miss the magical Whispering Gallery on the top floor.
Unit 8. Exercise 5.
Hello. I'm planning to take a tour group over to Northern Europe from the UK next year, and I'd like you to recommend some itineraries.
Sure. Which period of the year would you like to travel, and for how long?
Sometime in spring, so the weather is not too hot. Maybe for about 3 weeks?
And what kind of things are your group interested in?
Well, it's quite a mixed group in terms of age and interests, so I want to include something that will appeal to everyone.
I'd certainly recommend Greenland to you, because you can see some amazing wildlife, and you also get to take boat trips along the fjords.
Some of my group have expressed an interest in health tourism too. Is that possible in Greenland?
I would say that Iceland is more suitable because of the geysers and hot springs. There are lots of modern spa resorts you could stay at.
Do you know if there is any chance of seeing the Northern Lights at that time of the year?
The best time to see them is in winter. But if you go to remote regions like Lapland without artificial lights, it is sometimes possible to see them.
What other activities can my group do in Finland?
At that time of the year, there are great hiking and whitewater rafting trips, which are really good for developing a team spirit. Unit 9. Exercise 5.
I just want to go through all the things you need to do before you leave for the USA.
Sure, no problem.
First, you have to check your passport is valid for at least 6 months after you plan to return home.
Yes, it is. Do I have to apply for a visa too?
No, you don't. There's a visa waiver program for all UK or EC passports, but you have to apply through ESTA, Electronic System for Travel Authorization to the USA, online at least 72 hours before your departure.
How long can I stay in the USA with this program?
You can stay for up to 90 days.
Okay. What about security at the airport?
Security is very tight for all US travel, so you should arrive at the airport at least 3 hours before your departure time.
Do I need medical insurance?
Well, you don't have to be immunized against any diseases, but it's a good idea to get comprehensive travel insurance.
Right. How about money?
The currency is dollars, but you don't need to take out money in advance because you can use credit cards and cash point machines, which Americans call ATMs.
Okay. Thanks for all your help and advice.
Unit 9. Exercise 12.
Welcome to Manhattan Central Park. This is where New Yorkers come to walk, cycle, line skate, and jog, or simply to enjoy the natural surroundings. There are also many water play areas in the park, which are fun and cooling on a hot day. At the northern end of Central Park is the famous Guggenheim Museum. Apart from exhibiting some of the world's best modern and contemporary art, the museum itself is an architectural icon in New York. From the outside, the building is extremely striking and looks a little like a spiraling concrete animal shell. Where should you go shopping in Manhattan? Well, Fifth Avenue and Madison Avenue offer the best in designer clothes. If you're not keen on department stores but prefer a different sort of experience, then why not try Greenwich Village, where there are gift shops, food markets, and trendy clothes boutiques with reasonable prices. Finally, you can't visit Manhattan without taking a trip to Broadway to watch a good show, play, or maybe spot your favorite star.
Unit 10. Exercise 9.
Hello. I'd like some information about eco-resorts in the Maldives, please.
Certainly, they are owned and run by native Maldivian staff who receive fair salaries.
What about my carbon footprint?
Well, you might have heard that the Maldives is trying to become the first carbon-neutral country in the world, and the eco-resorts are contributing to that by using renewable energy sources such as wind, water, and sun.
How does that affect the accommodation?
The luxury chalets are solar-powered and extremely environmentally friendly.
Are there other ways in which the resorts promote sustainability?
Yes, part of the money you spend on your holiday goes into conservation projects, like cleaning the local coral reef.
What about cultural and educational projects?
There are plenty of opportunities to interact with the locals and learn about the wealth of cultural diversity which makes up these islands. There are also educational projects to raise awareness of environmental threats to these islands, from natural disasters like tsunamis and hurricanes.
Unit 11. Exercise 5.
So, today we're talking about new travel destinations with travel agent Iris Ross. Could you tell us about what's in and what's going out at the moment, please?
Well, for example, Bogotá, the capital of Colombia, is taking over from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil because it's not as crowded. But it's full of trendy Latin American nightlife and entertainment.
I see. What about beach holidays?
The Philippines is fast gaining popularity from its Southeast Asian neighbour, Thailand. It's the second largest archipelago in the world, has unique cultural diversity, and offers spectacular coral reef islands for great diving opportunities.
Presumably because it's a new destination, it's cheaper, and there are fewer tourists than in Thailand.
Yes, that's right. Also, people tired of the Maldives are going to the Andaman Islands instead. They belong to India, but actually they're closer to Southeast Asia. And there are over 300 tropical islands with sandy beaches, crystal seas, and amazing coral and sea life.
What about city breaks?
Well, for all you shopaholics who want to see a new city and avoid the crowds, Quebec in Canada is taking over from New York.
No, really?
Yes, really. It's got a lovely historic centre, great markets and designer boutiques, as well as good restaurants and nightlife.
Any more hot tips for us before you go?
Yes, one for adventure, nature and eco-tourists. Guyana in South America is the new Amazon. It has tropical rainforests full of rare flora and fauna, rapids and waterfalls for rafting, and a tabletop mountain for climbing and abseiling.
That sounds like quite an adventure.
And I've got a final one for foodies. Try Tasmania, the island off southern Australia, instead of Argentina in South America. The reason is that people think Tasmanian food is fresh, healthy, tasty, and it's definitely different.
Iris Ross, thank you for your hot tips.
Unit 11. Exercise 11.
I want to travel to Brazil during the FIFA World Cup.
Okay, there are various World Cup packages available, or you can go as an independent traveler.
I'd prefer to be independent because I'm traveling with my girlfriend, and she wants to do some sightseeing and have a bit of a beach holiday too.
Well, the first thing you need to decide is which games you'd like to apply for. We have a list of all the venues and the possible teams who will be playing there.
I see. What about traveling around the country?
It depends a bit on how many games you want to see and where they are located, but you can hire a car, fly, or travel by public transport.
I'm not sure. What would you advise?
Once again, it depends on what type of holiday you want. Car hire is quite cheap and you're independent, but traffic is chaotic, especially in the big cities. Air travel is more expensive but more relaxing, and public transport is fun, but it will be extremely overcrowded during the World Cup.
I think we'd like to hire a car there. Can we book accommodation through you as well?
Certainly. I'll work out some costs and dates and get back to you as soon as possible.